Hi, everybody. Dave Clark from InspectCheck-net. Today, I want to talk a little bit about PEX plumbing. So we know that there's been some issues with PEX. We also know that it's being used just about everywhere now. I can't remember the last time I've seen a new build that wasn't PEX. Some CPVC out there, on new builds, that is, but I haven't seen a copper used in a new build except for certain spots, right? Maybe right at the fixtures, in a while. So we see PEX, there has been some issues. There's also been no issues in some areas, of course, but there are some things that we've seen. I have definitely seen leaks, and I'm not saying it's the product's fault or if it's the installer's fault. It could be a combination of both. I just want to just give you a couple things to look out for when you're out there in the field looking at PEX. All right. So with that said, I want to read this to you that I have. One of the issues, a couple of the issues. One is dezincification, it's called. All right. So I want to read exactly what this is. There's been a couple of lawsuits pertaining to PEX installation. The lawsuits are associated with some brass fittings may fail due to something called dezincification. This may occur when zinc leaches from the fittings. It will create a white powdery substance from the breakdown and possibly reduce water flow. It may also cause leaks at the fittings. All right, so what causes this? And I'm going to show you a picture of actual dezincification. So high levels of chlorine have been known to oxidize the inner wall of some types of pipe, causing the connections to fail. We also saw this with polypropylene, if you remember that, right? So manufacturers have added antioxidants to the pipe for sacrificial purposes. The chlorine can degrade the oxidants, can degrade the antioxidants in the pipe. It is not known the long-term effect of chlorine and pipe failure. The amount of chlorine in Europe is significantly lower than the U.S., which is interesting. So it's possible that a higher amount of chlorine can cause this degrading of the pipe. So some types of plastic pipe are manufactured in a manner where chemical leaching may occur. This involves leaving chemical byproducts behind in the pipe. So some PEX manufacturers have addressed potential issues and also introduced different grades of PEX for specific uses. So I'm going to show you that. But first, I'm going to show you what dezincification looks like. All right. Let me go right here. And by the way, there's actually a 2. Here it is. I don't know if maybe that needs to be bigger. But I like this connection. So this is the one that expands the connector or the pipe, I should say. And it has this type of connector, this piece that goes on. We see that then it's expanded with a tool and then set over the fitting. In this case, it's a brass fitting is what you want, but look at what happened. Look at what happened to it. All that corrosion. If you see that, that's definitely a problem, and there's an issue with that. Now you can go, and we're not going to go into great detail, but you could do some research of your own, and there's different markings on some of those fittings that indicate they may be more prone to failure than others. But we do want to see, right, a brass fitting. Okay, we do want to see a brass fitting. So I want to show you something else now. And here is another one. Now that's the type of fitting I like, but we got some more dezincification going on right here. So we're seeing this corrosion in here. Not a great picture, but we see some of this corrosion in here. If we see that, we're definitely going to call that out. Okay. We also see, take a look at, and again, we're not going to get too deep into the installation, but it should be about a 1/4 inch or so. A lot of manufacturers, look at that distance, look at that distance, and look at that. They're all 3 different distances. And this is not, it looks like it's not totally square. See how it's not like there's less room here than here. So we could, we're already seeing a problem. We also have corrosion on the ring itself, on the crimp ring. So there's also been some of those that have been recalled. And you're gonna have to Google them. We could be this training could take a lot longer than what I'm going to take now, but some of those have been recalled. But there's a proper way to install PEX and not a proper way, and I would say this doesn't look like a great way to do it. All right. So we talk about dezincification. There's another issue too, and I want to bring you over to this. Okay, so let's take a look at this. And there's more problems here. I know you're getting a chuckle because I am too. So we've got everything, right? I don't even know. It looks like I don't know what kind of connection that is. Almost for like a electric. And of course we got galvanized. Let me change my color. You got galvanized, and then you've got brass going in. That's probably the right connection. Look at how, can you see that? Let me make it a little bit bigger, but see how that's on an angle? See how there's more material here than there is here? That right alone is an issue. Why they put a second one back here is maybe because of that. I'm not sure, but that's definitely a problem. Okay, so this is a problem, and this is a problem anyway, right? There's still all kinds of madness going on here. Same thing here. That ring needs to be about a 1/4 inch back, but it also needs to be, straight, square, whatever you want to call it, not, cockeyed like this one is, for lack of a better word, less there than here. But the bigger problem, and what I'm really trying to point out to you, is this acetal fitting, right? This is a brass fitting. Let me clean some of this up here. Hold on. All right, so this one here is a brass fitting. And this is an acetal, right? That's a fancy name for plastic, maybe. I'm unaware of any manufacturers that approve or recommend this type of fitting. It may not be illegal. I hate to use that word, but as far as I know, an acetal fitting for PEX should not be used. If I see it, I'm going to call it out, and you could tell me I'm crazy in that, but it should be a brass fitting. And obviously no corrosion. Now, there's no corrosion on this fitting. It just doesn't look like it's seated right. And of course, we're not going to put brass into galvanized that's already corroded. I mean, we're going to call this out anyway, but I just wanted this picture so you could see the difference between the two. So acetal fittings are not recommended either. So we want to make sure the crimp ring is right. We also want to make sure that it's a brass fitting, but we're really talking mostly about dezincification here. So if you see either of those things, that's an issue, okay? So let's talk for a second about what you should be looking for with PEX. Let's go over here. And these are just some things, right? Non-oxygen barrier PEX for potable water, oxygen barrier PEX for heating systems and component that may rust or corrode. So they're marked, right? They're different. We have PEX-A, right? And that's what oops, I circled it out. Let me try this. PEX-A, a flexible, less kink resistant and freeze resistant. And then we have PEX-B, which is slightly less flexible and not as freeze resistant as PEX-A. So, a lot of installers are going to go probably with one or the other. And I would say that the PEX-A, but again, they're going to be marked. But there's another one that's important. All right. PEX-AL PEX. So, or aluminum barrier PEX, impregnated with a layer of aluminum. It keeps its shape when bent. The aluminum also is an oxygen barrier that has a low expansion rate. This is used for outdoor high temperature heating systems. I've heard plumbers say this is better. They like this better. It's more expensive, of course, and it may help with some of that dezincification. All right, so see what's out there. Again, this is probably beyond the scope of a home inspection. And I would say to you, if you don't see that corrosion and the crimp rings are at the right distance and they're square, equal distance around on that, you really can't do too much. All right, I just want to show you this too. So proper installation, refer to the PEX installation manual. I can't tell you that enough. Look one up. They're great. They're going to tell you a few other things too. So white powder around PEX fittings, that's a problem. That's going to show that we're getting some dezincification. It's an issue. Visible leaks, of course. Weeping at the fittings. Reduced water flow. I'm going to tell you why that could be happening in a second. Okay, it should not be exposed to sunlight, even through basement windows. All right, so they can cover it. They can put an insulation on it. Obviously, anything that's got to be, you have to have strike plates. It should be definitely protected. It should have a 1/4 inch around it when you drill through it. If there's an odor or bad taste, that can also indicate there's a problem. Okay, so let's talk about reduced water pressure real quick. And I'm going to show you what just about every manufacturer I've seen is they want a manifold. Okay, so these manifold, these are, hot, cold, and they're fed with maybe copper or 3/4 inch copper because you have a bigger inside diameter, but it doesn't, whatever it's fed with. But look, so we'll use the blue. So the cold, these are home runs. They could be 1/2 inch right? And that's part of the problem. People see this, they're half inch, that's fine, but these are all home runs. So one goes, if it's going to a bathroom, you're going to run 3, one for a toilet, one for a sink, one for a tub, but they're all half inch. And the same thing with the hot, right? Right. So that's going to go to the vanity, and that's going to go to the bathtub. The problem is you see PEX run just like this, like conventional plumbing. And it's, again, the manufacturers, I'm not going to say they don't recommend it or it's illegal. I hate to use all those words, but their recommended installation is to use a manifold and have half-inch home runs. Again, the inside diameter of PEX is less, the 3/4, than it would be of copper. So it's definitely going to, you're going to definitely have a less of a flow rate. But the whole idea is that there's not a lot of these connections. If you do home runs, you have a connection at the manifold, which is, 1, and then you have another one at the fixture. And that's really how it's supposed to be. But I see a lot of PEX run conventionally. And if you call that out, the plumber's going to think you've lost your mind. I've had municipalities tell me, no, that's fine. They can run it any way they want. So they run it just like regular, but it's really not. I haven't seen, and if you have seen that, by all means comment here and show me the link. I haven't seen a manufacturer that says you can run it like conventional plumbing, with a 3/4 inch, with a 3/4 everything and then half. Even though they do, and I've inspected those houses that they have run them like that, and the water pressure was fine, adequate, I would say. So, if you call that out, then you're gonna probably have a lot of run-ins with plumbers and or municipal code enforcement, because nobody's enforcing that, and it's not really a code, it's just best practice. How's that the way to put it? But I just want to get back to the dezincification again. All right, so if you're out there in the field and you see this, you've got a problem. You're out there in the world and you see this, we got a problem. Okay, so that's the biggest thing. Again, this whole fitting looks bad, but we don't know what they found. So the biggest thing I could tell you is there are ways that you can see if these are approved or if they're ones that have been not approved. The same thing with a crimp ring. Are they the right ones? There's marking on them that you can see. Okay, so we're just going to kind of stick here now. We're not going to do the whole PEX installation, but with the dezincification or the failure, again, the acetal fittings are not approved that I'm aware of. You can prove me wrong, or not prove me wrong, but if you have anything to add, I'd love to see it. So what about if we see that? And pretty simple, right? Going to go right over, grab our report. We're going to go right over to plumbing and our water source, whatever it is, public, municipal, how many units we're looking at. Maybe it's 1. Where's it enter? What's the water supply? In this case, it's going to be PEX, and our InspectCheck tells them what PEX is. And then we're going to come over to 3/4 and half-inch, right? Mark that section complete. And now we're just talking about those 2 fittings that we saw, the acetal and the one that's actually got some dezincification. So really simple. I'm going to put over here, temporary repairs of unsatisfactory connections. And I'm going to put noted on PEX pipe. And you could probably right here is where I take the picture and add that in. And then I would come over here, considerable damage, corrosion, unsatisfactory connections. Very simple right here. Okay. And this was also noted, just so our plumber knows, on PEX connections. Oop. Okay. I don't know if I get into the whole dezincification thing and all that. If we spotted leaks, same thing, where they are. And we could take a picture. You can add that picture right there. Mark the section complete. Okay. If we want to add an attachment to that, we can add report attachments here. We have many from our library. In this case, we would go to plumbing, and it talks about PEX installation. So that's a great attachment to add. So your client can see what it's like. And I would probably just do the link, what PEX installation is supposed to be. It's a great white paper from a manufacturer on how PEX should be installed. Okay, pretty simple. And I would add that definitely in the report for them. Okay, so I know a lot of people love PEX, and PEX is getting installed everywhere. Pay attention to it, just like we do any other plumbing. And look for that dezincification or corrosion and those acetyl connections. Again, if there is manufacturers that allow them in that, please educate all of us. You can comment here. I'd like to see it. But I'm not condemning PEX. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I think if it's installed properly, it's probably okay. I guess I worry about the chlorine, but you know, that's something that that we may not know for a time frame. Unless we start seeing some issues, but I think they're relating those to the fittings themselves and not necessarily the pipe. So just a brief overview on one issue that we see out there with PEX. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and you'll be the first one to get these videos. And you can also go to homeinspectortrainingonline.com, and we have all kinds of great information over there for you also. And until I see you next time, have a great day.